Harry, I was thinking we need to limit ourselves to one joke about Warcraft 3. Okay, one
I'll
joke.
let you, I'll let you take it.
No, I mean each one of us can say one.
Oh, one each. Okay.
One each. Just so things don't get out of control, because it's gonna be very easy to do that. I feel like. All right, hello there, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Majmora.
And I'm Zavaipo.
And this is episode 29 of the Town Center, your podcast dedicated to all things Age of Empires. In today's show, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, and that pretty much sums up the split reactions of the online community to the newly announced DLC for Age of Empires 2. So we'll take the opportunity to share our first experiences of the DLC and give our takes on the controversy surrounding it. Amid all the drama, don't forget we still have the Masters of Rage Forest running, in which Gamer Legion has already made it to the semifinals, and apparently there's a little bit of a scheduling conflict, but we're not going to be discussing that here. And at the time of recording, the first qualifier for Warlords 4 is now just 1 week away. And joining us today to help us make sense of all of this, we have our teammate Hera, who obviously does not need an introduction. Hera, thank you so much for taking the time, and welcome to the Town Center.
Thank you for having me.
If you guys enjoy our show, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you prefer to listen to us on Spotify, don't forget to rate us 5 stars. So, Orion, I'm just curious. Did the announcement of the new DLC made its way to the Warcraft community? Did you hear about it?
Yeah, apparently you guys have heroes as well in Age of Empires now.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
you're the expert on heroes now. I'm so dying to hear your opinion on that.
No, I mean, like, I have gotten or seen that there's a lot of criticism around the Three Kingdoms editions, so there's some drama there. I cannot claim to be well versed in history or knowledgeable about any of the reasons why, but I think it's fun. The new civs are fun. Hero units will be a bit weird to have in the game. But,
okay,
otherwise,
let's introduce the topic first of all. So the next DLC for Age of Empires 2 will be called The Three Kingdoms, and it now has an official release date. That's May 6th. It brings to the game 3 new campaigns and 5 new civilizations, the Jurchens, the Ketons, and then the so-called Three Kingdom civilizations, which now everybody knows everything about them, which are responsible for like the brunt of the criticism online, the Shu, the Wu, and the Wei. Yeah, so folks, what I've noticed is that there are 2 big criticisms related to this DLC. One of them is obviously the heroes that you were just talking about, Orion, and the other one's like the wrong timeline. So I'd actually like to start with the heroes, but I'd like to give the first words to our guest, Hera. So what do you make of the inclusion of the heroes in Age of Empires 2?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. I read through some of the criticism as well, so I'm quite. I know what people are complaining about for the most part. But with regards to the heroes, I feel like it's been overblown. So if we're talking specifically about the heroes, I can't imagine a world where they are game defining. And where it's like overpowered to the point where every game you're just dying to heroes. And there's a few reasons for that. Like number one, it's in Imperial Age, but specifically it's in post-imp because it costs 1,000 resources to get one of them out. It's limited to 1, so it only has limited impact on the map. And on top of that, it's only for 3 civilizations. So it's very rare that you're going to run into a hero unit every single game because not every game gets to post-imp. I do, though, agree with a lot of the criticism saying that heroes don't belong in the game. It was a big step for Microsoft to bring out 3 heroes and throw them into ranked. So I definitely can relate with that sentiment. For me personally, I feel like I'm neutral for now. I haven't tested them yet. So my opinion will probably change, but right now I'm probably sitting at a neutral.
Neutral, okay. Orion, the hero expert.
I mean,
that's two Warcraft jokes. Sorry, I promise I would only make one.
Are they also in team games? Do they affect your teammates?
Ooh, very good question. I do not know.
The bonuses are, one of them have healing, the other one has movement speed, the third one has attack speed, right?
Attack speed, yeah. And it's a very bright aura. It's a very broad. It's a very broad
it's
aura.
A big one. I don't think the civs as well, from what I've seen, are like, they have some really good bonuses, but I don't think those civs are going to enter the game and be like, oh, these are now the 3 best civs in the game, hero or not. So yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to have to play and see how it is, right? Maybe after we play with it for a week or 2, that we realize, okay, actually this hero stuff is broken. And I mean, there's no way they're going to go back on it now and suddenly make the Three Kingdoms Chronicles like the Greece thing, right? So we're just going to have to deal with it, essentially. It's a different flavor in Age of Empires. I'm looking forward to try it. But yeah, there is, of course, a chance that it could be broken. But
I have a question for you, Viper. on the
Yes.
topic of heroes, would you rather? So these 3 heroes are here for the game for sure. We can't change that, right? Would you rather every civ get a hero or just limit it to these 3?
It's so hard to then it's like, okay, Mongols have to get Genghis Khan, right? Are you going to balance Genghis Khan? It would be very hard. Vikings would get Harald. French would get Charles
Joan
Martel,
of Arc
right?
or
Joan of Arc. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, like there's so many. It will be then the game will be really hard to balance, in my opinion.
It has to be small steps. If heroes are going to make their way, which it's such a slippery slope, in my opinion, to say, oh, this is how it starts. At some point, we're playing League of Legends or Toto or whatever.
As I say, I could see a world where the heroes will be not allowed in tournament use. Like the civ can be played, but they will, like in the map script or something, make the hero untrainable, for example. I could see there be a world where that will happen. Like, for example, like we had in, I believe it was King of the Desert or Warlords, where Flemish Revolution was banned, right?
Disabled at some point. That's
I could
true.
see that
Before they
being the
changed it,
case
yeah.
as well for the heroes, depending on how strong the heroes are, and also community feelings on the thing.
I feel like that would be worse somehow. First of all, Nelson, I agree with what you said. That I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal. But secondly, I feel like that would be worse if you have a mechanic in the game, like in ranked, but then it's taken away from tournaments, because then it would just reinforce people's opinions that it shouldn't belong in the game. But then they're stuck with it in ranked. So I can just imagine a player losing to heroes in ranked, watching a tournament, and then it's banned. It's like, oh, okay, so it should be banned, but it's not in my games, which feels weird. So I don't know. I feel like no matter where you go with these heroes, it's always going to be some people like it and some people absolutely hate it.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, guys, this unit is worse than an elephant, than a war elephant from the Persians. Of course, it can't be converted, which is a big deal. So I really doubt it's going to be a big thing. I think the criticism is legitimate from the folks that go like, this does not belong in Age of Empires 2. It's a step too far. I see it, and I did recoil first time I saw the heroes. But on the other hand, I gotta say, this is what Forgotten Empires does. That's what they do. Every single DLC, they bring wacky new stuff. You know, some stuff is great and sticks to the game and people love it, and other stuff is not so great. So yeah, I totally agree. Let's see what happens. On the other hand, though, guys, you already touched a little bit on it, Orion, was that the other criticism that I saw was that this does not belong in the timeline of Age of Empires 2. I've spoken about this many times. I'm not a history buff. Honestly, I could not care less that the timeline is not respected of Age of Empires 2. I have a limit, I guess at some point I have a limit. I don't want to see tanks or machine guns or airplanes in Age of Empires 2. But to me personally, this is still very far from it. And I say this not to dismiss the criticism, just to let people know that there is this point of view, that this thing does not bother me whatsoever. How do you see that, Hera?
I mean, I read through some of that criticism, and I was leaning more in favor of the criticism, actually, because if you have civilization, like China has a rich history, right? So if you have civilizations, like proper civilizations that could have been included in the right timeline for Age of Empires in the Chinese history, and we chose to not opt for those, but to opt for the 3 kingdoms, that does feel a bit weird, where we had like a proper option, historically speaking, and we opted for something else. I don't know how legit this is, but I heard it could have been something politically related in China, where they went for the era.
Probably.
Yeah, they didn't want to cause any kind of controversy. Again, I don't know much of that at all. But I would say, because there was a valid historical option to go for, that would have made sense with the time frame of Age of Empires or Age of Empires 2. And then they opted not to go for that. I do feel like for that reason specifically, the criticism is absolutely valid.
Orion, have a hot take on that? On the timeline?
Again, my knowledge in these regards are very limited. So I'm in your camp, where it's like, I'm happy to play more civs and new, like the civs that are designed. Like these civs are very fun design-wise, in my opinion. So like, I'm happy to play them. But I do understand, I always acknowledge that a lot of people view Age of Empires as a kind of simulation of history. And they want to play the games, when they play the game, as a simulation of history as well. So when things don't match, timelines don't match, and all those things, I do understand that people are disappointed. And yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things again, where you cannot please everyone in the end. You're gonna have to pick how you want to approach the game. Again, this time they went with a 3 Kingdoms DLC. Probably if they went with it as a Chronicles, the backlash would be very soft. But then we would only have 2 new civs for ranked, which is probably arguably enough as well. So why didn't they do it? I don't understand. No.
Yeah, I have a suspicion with the Chronicles thing. it's a different studio. I don't think they can just go ahead and say, hey, Capture H, just take my DLC.
That's fair.
Because maybe the Capture H guys don't like the way the campaigns are told, and they want to tell the story in a different way. What you can say, of course, is just make, apart from Chronicles, make it something else. I don't know. Antique shiny. I don't know. I don't know the nomenclature. I'm not versed in history whatsoever. But just make it something else that it's not ranked and it's not Chronicles. But making it in Chronicles, I think, was never an option. That's what I imagine, at least. One thing I do have to address, guys, is that another criticism was that I've seen was that Sejan lied in the interview Orion that he gave to us because, you haven't been around, I can tell. But yes, that criticism came about quite often, and I feel the need to clear it up a little bit because he said the Chinese are not being split. And to a lot, he said this, he said this verbatim, Chinese are not going to be split. And some folks are seeing this as him lying because these three kingdom civilizations are indeed part of China. So they see it all as the same Chinese, so in some way they're being split. So basically they said he was lying. And I think that's only true if you see it from the perspective, if you come from the premise that you think the three kingdom civilizations are not going to be in the game. Then you hear that, okay, definitely they're not going to be in the game. But if you come from the premise that you don't know what's going to be in the game, I'm pretty sure what Sejan was saying, this is not going to be the same treatment as the Indians got. You guys remember Indians disappeared from the game, became Hindustanis, and then other Civs. And I think that's exactly what Sejan was saying. So I'm pretty sure there is no malice, no ill intent on the part of Sejan when he said the Chinese are not being split.
As an outsider who didn't hear Sejan say that, nor saw the backlash, for me, hearing that now, it's very obvious that he was talking about like the Indians treatment compared to what was Chinese treatment now. Because like the Chinese Civ that we know is not going anywhere. It's still in the game. So for me, it's not split. And I think that's what he meant. It's, for me, quite clear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, guys, this DLC for me, in my opinion, as all the DLCs, this is a DLC for campaign players. That's what I think it is. From what we hear, campaign players are the ones that drives the sales. And I do feel like it's a little bit weird that Microsoft, they did not allow us to show anything from the campaigns. And I feel like maybe they should have, because if that's what I assume are their target, their target audience for this DLC, they should have allowed us to show a little bit of the campaigns. I tried them a little bit. Again, I don't think I'm allowed to reveal anything, but I believe that campaigns are going to make or break this DLC, as with every other DLC. So and I'm very curious. So that means that the campaigns are good. I think the DLC sells well. If they're not good, it does not sell well. But I do wonder, what do you guys feel about this? Do you guys feel like the Reddit, because there's been a lot of backlash, I gotta say, more than for any other DLC I've seen so far. Do you guys feel like the Reddit and the forums and all of those things are representative of the player base as a whole? I do have to wonder about this. When you see a lot of criticism from these parts of the community, does that reflect, sales and all of that and the quality and the success of the DLC? My feeling is no, but I have no hard numbers here. So you guys feel like Reddit is representative of the whole player base, that it's going to end up buying these things or not?
I would say with regards to DLC sales, I would say probably not. I mean, it affects a little bit, but we're talking about single digit percentage. Just because, for example, my brother plays the campaigns. He plays all of them and he gets the DLCs. He's never visited Reddit, let alone the subreddit of AV2,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And he would probably look to buy this one at some point, even though he's such a casual, right? And I feel like there's a lot of people that are in the exact same boat. I think Reddit is a good indicator of the regular players, the more involved players. I think that's a good indicator of what Reddit brings, but it does not represent the masses, which are casual campaign players or casual single player players.
I agree 100%. Orion?
I think as well that there's so many people that couldn't care less about the existence of Reddit, about me or Hera or Spirit of the Law or T98. They just want to play some Age of Empires sometimes. And yeah, obviously the feedback on Reddit has zero impact on them. And yeah, we're still in a very small corner when it comes to Age of Empires world, right? We have we are more of a dedicated competitive scene, right? And then you also have people that consume content join in as well. That's the core that are part of Reddit, our YouTube channels, our Twitch streams, competitive scene, tournaments. That's such a small portion compared to the amount of people that play campaign and single player still.
That's my feeling.
I don't
That's
think
my feeling, yeah.
Reddit saying oh no, this is bad. I don't think that's gonna impact sales at all.
Mhm. Not to say they shouldn't complain if they're not happy.
Of course not. Constructive
Yes.
criticism is always good for every single company and every single person in the world, as long as it's constructive. But there's some people that take it a bit far sometimes.
I was going to say, I think Microsoft should care what the Reddit community thinks to some extent, though, just because your dedicated audience, although it's not like necessarily the highest like revenue source, I think it does matter to keep the spirit of like the community alive, because Reddit and the streamers and like the online scene kind of keeps like the day-to-day content really flowing and the day-to-day like Age of Empires 2 vibes going. If you only have single player, then you're gonna have this disconnect between like Microsoft and then like the players, because they have no way to actually like express their feelings about Age of Empires to anybody if there's no online forums or if there's no like streamers and whatnot. So the daily AV2 side of things, of like streamers plus Reddit and forums and whatnot, this discussion, I feel like it really does keep the vibe of the community active and alive, and really gives it gives new players a sense of like, wow, this thing is still kicking. I'm gonna look to invest more into this. So for that reason, I think it definitely is impactful. Reddit and the online dedicated AV2 community things.
That's a very good point, actually, because whenever a lot of people only come back to Age of Empires 2 whenever there's a DLC, but in the times where there's no new DLC, things need to keep moving and things need to be engaging and active and all that, and that's where your regular player base. So yeah, that's a very fair point. So Microsoft ignores this part of the player base at their own peril. So that's a very, very fair point. I hadn't thought about it. And on something you said earlier, Orion, you said like, well, why didn't they pick civs that, what did you say before? Why did they pick these civs and not the other ones that folks wanted to see? I believe it's, from what I heard, and I know nothing about this, but Ornlu is telling me that these Three Kingdom civilizations is a very popular setting in like popular culture, and TV and other games as well. This is like the
Total
kind of
War,
setting.
for example.
Yeah, this is the kind of setting that is very often depicted in like in popular culture, other games and all that. And that might have been why. And another thing that I saw a lot of people saying, why doesn't Microsoft react when they see that we do not like the civs, or that we want this and this and this civ? These things start being produced and start being created months ago. These things take a lot of time to create. So by the time you see the first screenshots, by the time you see teasers, things are well underway and probably like 80% completed. So it's not feasible to just, all of a sudden change things. I believe that's also a big part of the whole thing. So, but looking at the civs in specific, guys, is there anything that stands out to you as leaving aside the heroes? You guys, I believe Viper's been covering them, drop by drop in his YouTube channel. I've seen it. Is there anything that stands out to you as potentially broken, something that needs to be looked at, Hera? Is there anything that jumps out at you?
I haven't played the DLC civs yet. I'm gonna play them this week, probably like Monday to Friday, video each day with the new civs. So I got to feel more for them. But from going through the tech tree, I can say that nothing necessarily feels broken. But what feels weird to me is how everything is just different. Like you can make trebuchets from Siege Workshop. You have like no knights, but you get the knight replacement. It just feels like they're doing things to make like they want to make changes, so they're just doing things that are weird to make sure it's different. And that's like a general feeling I get. It's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Because it could all work out in the end. But I just feel like we're doing weird changes to make sure it's different and not necessarily make it interesting for gameplay. That's my take so far, but I'll know more when I play them.
Would you see the point, though, that it's the only way to make sure people actually buy these things? If they're more of the same, it's going to be, folks are going to be unlikely to buy
I don't
it?
think you need that many changes to make folks want to play the game or want to play the Civ. Like I just feel like an interesting tech tree with one or two gimmicks or one or two standouts is probably enough to get people to be interested. I feel like if you do too much, you can actually push away people because they just get the feeling like, wow, this is way too different than what I'm used to. I'm not even going to get involved in it.
That's fair. Orion?
I think somewhat similarly that I think maybe there's too much difference in each civ, right? For example, like also to add more on the weirdness, like you have Siege Workshop units that suddenly cost food and gold, we already have the siege elephant, right? But now we also have the trebuchet thingy that costs food and gold. In the barracks, you now have fire lancers that cost wood and gold.
Wood and gold, yeah.
Which is very strange. Which makes that actually very easy to spam. I think that unit could be very annoying to play against.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can have like a 1 TC, 5 vills on food, 6 barracks, and spam fire lancers.
Try 0 vills on food. I have a new rush already. It's
that
insane,
works as well.
For what Civ, Hera? Since you didn't play the new ones?
The Koreans, you have like 20 wood fire lances, like 20 wood, 50 gold.
Oh, true. They get the discount as well.
That's true.
0 on food. You don't need, like, it's literally the new Hong Rush. 0 on food, you go fast castle direct because you need a barracks. You can Drush FC if you want to fast castle. You make a few of those, you go forward with the rocket carts, and it's rocket carts, fire lances. It's literally a different game. Like, the enemy Civ is like Frank's going scouts, and they're just in a different era, like done, getting cooked.
On the other hand, that's exciting though, right? Well, that one sounds very broken, but it's exciting that a lot of these strategies are going to be emerging, I think.
There's just so many weird, like the pastures as well. I feel like it's Khmer on steroids, kind of. You also have a Civ that gets food from chopping trees. You build a dock or any military building and you get 65 food. You're going to be so broken on Nomad, for example.
Just so folks know, the Ketons are the one with the pasture and the one where the
Lumberjacks generate food as well.
That's the shoe.
Yeah.
That's kind of broken.
So it's not that excessive, right? But still, it's like those are bonuses that are weird and going to be hard to adjust to, especially for casuals. I mean, we're now on 50 civilizations, right? It's so hard to keep track of all. Like even for us pros, we will have like issues sometimes remembering Civ bonuses and such.
Also, like on that topic, like I don't think it follows a logical train of thought. Like you make a military building, you get 65 food. Like where's the logic there?
I think it's for Nomad in particular.
No. But I'm talking about like real life logic. Like for example, I feel like Dravidians getting extra fishing like that. Okay, that makes sense. Or like, I don't know, like Khmer, you don't need to drop off the mill. Like that makes sense. But like making a building and then randomly getting a different resource in the stockpile, it just doesn't feel logical. It feels weird. So like from a gameplay perspective, I'm not necessarily opposed to it. Like it's fine. I'm a pro player. I play with pine trees. I don't need this immersion necessarily. But I do feel like it really does kill the immersion in some ways, where you just like make a barracks and get 65 food. It's weird. It's weird.
Again, I think from that point in particular, folks are going to have different lines, there's going to be different limits for different folks, for some being, 10 elephants taking the same space than 10 villagers is already too much and kills the immersions. But I totally get what it sounds a bit random. They're looking for stuff that hasn't been there just yet. Okay, no Civ has this thing, so let me give it to them, right? Without really connecting it to something that made sense. I agree. I agree there. Okay, so again, as you guys said, the new Civs haven't been played much. Once they're available in the ranked and tournaments and all of that, I believe folks are going to have a better idea of whether they're broken or not. Now, this was the controversial part, but the non-controversial part would be the new patch, which I believe has been widely well received by you guys, by the Reddit crowd, by the forum crowd with the new skins and new units and all of that. So I would like to hear your first impressions in general from the patch so far. Hera, let's start with you.
This is where it's going to be a complete change of tone, because the DLC had mixed opinions for sure, which I don't think it's all negative, but it's been, hit or miss. Some things are good, some things are bad. With the patch, I would say it's like 95% good. It's been truly incredible. They absolutely nailed it with so many different aspects. So we'll start with the visuals, like the castles, the different monks, the elite versions of units. This is all stuff I didn't know I needed, but now that it's here, I'm like, oh man, this should have been here from the start. This is incredible. This is excellent. And then moving away to like more gameplay elements, infantry is now viable, but doesn't feel broken. Like it feels like now in every game I can go from infantry and I don't have to lose them because my opponent thought of making one archer. Like he thought of making one archer, my men arm die on the
smart.
Yeah, exactly.
Smart.
But now he's bringing out the archers, and since I move at the same speed, I can run away and I keep them around for later. So from a gameplay element, it's way more fair now. You can go for infantry and you don't have to lose them, just because your opponent went for a counter strat. But infantry, despite getting buffed, don't feel broken. They don't feel like, oh man, my opponent's going infantry, I have to match it or else I can't play the game. So it feels like it's a strong early game threat, but not, it's not completely taking away scouts or archers from the meta. And then when you look at late game infantry, champions feel like they're actually playable now. I think the only like broken element might be certain civilizations, like Armenians with 30 extra HP, that might be like really strong. Certain civs that already have really strong infantry, they might be pushed a little over the edge. But what I will say, don't rush for the nerfs because they've been waiting 25 years to see some play. Let's not nerf them, a month after the patch. That's my take. So let infantry be strong. I don't feel it's broken. I feel like they really hit the sweet spot. And I can talk a lot more, but I'll pass it on to whoever else for now to talk about the new
Viper,
patch.
take it over.
So tomorrow the new Warcraft 3 patch is launching. Tyrants will get resistance skin. Paladin rifle is nerfed, so I'm mega hyped for that.
I can't wait for that. Yeah.
No, but real talk. I mean, full transparency, I haven't played on the new patch yet, but obviously I'm aware of all the changes. I've seen stuff and I'm aware of all the changes. And yeah, from the general consensus I'm seeing around as well is that everyone are super positive and happy about it. Also, the animations now being synced with attacks are like might be feeling a bit weird and weird to look at because you're not used to it. But I think that's a godsend in terms of like just immersion and also getting the feel for like the amount of times I've hit a monk with a scout and he goes like this and there's no
damage
register. Like it's what the hell?
You hear the sound. You hear the sound.
Exactly. You hear the sound. So yeah, those things are really good, I think. And yeah, I'm excited to come back to playing some Age of Empires soon. But again,
for the time, Warcraft 3 has got the priority.
For now, but yeah, the patch, in my opinion, seems super positive, and I agree with Hera though. Like, don't jump to the nerf gun if people suddenly feel like, oh, infantry are dominating on every levels, right? Even if that's the case, which it doesn't sound like it is. Although I feel like infantry might be very dangerous now on lower elo. But
Yes.
yeah, they shouldn't jump on to the nerf gun. Let it settle, marinate a little bit, and then we can see how it feels.
Like that.
I just want to say, Viper, in fairness to you, I've been playing a lot of 1v1s like throughout the day. So, everyone knows that when I play 1v1s, you can either play Rage Forest, campaigns, or Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
So there just hasn't been time in the schedule for you to hop on and play some 1v1s.
Totally understood.
I understand, man. Don't worry about it. But back to the patch discussion. I will say that the animations, I just want to make one point on that. It feels weird, specifically because the idle animation, the unit literally looks AFK. So like the spear will hit, but then it has like a 2.5 second attack speed delay, right?
It moves a little bit, Hera. It moves a tiny little. It has an idle animation.
A little, but it should be more. Like,
okay.
Because it's hard to tell, let's be fair, like AV2 units bug out more often than they should.
Oh, right? Fair. Okay, yeah. I see what you're saying.
You just want to know if your unit is actually fighting or if it's bugged out or if it's trapped. Fair. So I just think a little bit more of an idle animation and you have a perfect system. But like Viper mentioned, it's way better to have synced up animations than what we had before. So even if it looks weird, I think it's still a net positive, but it can still be improved. And I feel like that's my one point of the patch that I feel like could be like, worked on a little bit more.
It's such a funny point, though. You look at a unit. Is it idle? Is it actually attacking in between attacks? I love the way that sounds. Yeah, very, very fair point in my opinion. So the elephant in the room, folks. Pathing. Has it gotten any better, Hera? Is it just as bad? Is there any hope?
Well, they said they fixed it. Viper, what does that mean?
I haven't played yet. Don't look at me.
No, just historically, if they say they fixed it, it got worse. That's just how it works.
That's usually how it works.
But
don't tell me that's the case again.
I'll give you like the actual answer. So I feel like pathing in general hasn't gotten neither better nor worse. But unfortunately, there's more glitches in the game right now. Units are now regrouping in a weird way. So where if you move them, they regroup and then they eat the spearman shot. Where normally they should just walk straight. So they kind of like do a turn on the tile they are before moving somewhere. So it's like regrouping issues are back. Units are freezing. So like the glitch with the trebuchets and the monks before where they freeze and you have to like right click them one by one. You can't click them. You can't move them in a group. That glitch is back. There's a new glitch where you're clicking somewhere and your unit's walking somewhere and they don't respond to your clicks. That's happened a few times. Units are teleporting. That's happened a few times as well.
So what I hear is it's just as bad as always. That's what I'm hearing right now.
Like pathing, it didn't get neither better nor worse as a general note, but there's way more glitches now. So overall, I have to say, I'm so sorry. It's actually worse.
It's worse. Yeah. Wow. Just as a side note, I was hearing you guys play one of the Rage Forest games, I don't know, a week ago or something. And every time pathing fucked you guys over, it was like nearly fucked me over. That was pretty funny.
Let's be real though. Neil has like kind of taken the public. He's now become the public.
He's not
face
a coder. He's not a coder. Yeah.
No, he's the public face of like collecting all clips and everything for pathing. So like now Neil is the guy to blame for everything.
All he did was put a target on his back. That's exactly. That's what he achieved.
Dude, that's the mark of a leader, right? Put all the blame on himself. I like that. I like that. Okay, so I wrote down some things that I really want to hear your takes on. Chinese lose camels. How much of a big deal or no big deal is this? Orion, what do you feel like?
For team games, it's certainly a big deal because your pocket plays potentially worse. But in 1-on-1, I don't think you make camels that often that it's going to be that impactful.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they have now they have fire lances, for example, right? So they have
They
some other units as well. So sure, they lost camel, but they got other things as well.
Wait, do the Chinese actually have fire lancers?
Yeah,
Now I'm
with
confused.
bonuses even.
Yeah. They
Okay.
do.
Okay. So I don't need to check in. Yeah, Hera, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, so I kind of agree with what Viper said. That it's not like a make it or break it for the Civ, but I feel like it does hit the Civ in a way where it's going to change what matchups are favorable and what matchups can be a little bit more awkward now. But it's also, you have to now factor in like the fire lances will make some matchups a little easier now. So overall, I feel like the main thing that's been hurt is that before you can go Arbalest Camel, fully upgrade on both, which is very, very strong in certain matchups. Like that destroyed Hindustani, for example. Nowadays, you're not going to have access to that. Civs like Hindustani could see a little bit more play against the Chinese, for example. And in general, I feel like the Camel is a bit more useful than the Fire Lancer. So I feel like it's an overall nerf, but it kind of just changes how some matchups play out. I think it's good for the game, though. Chinese felt a bit too strong having access to Camel before.
So you guys feel like, or it's probably the reason, right? So they lose camels because they gain access to the Fire Lancer, which is sort of a counter to cavalry.
And I think it was meant to be a small nerf as well, because Chinese at pro level were quite strong. So I think they intended it to be a small nerf, I believe at least.
So I've seen you having fun with the Fire Lancer, Hera. So again, you guys talked about it before. It's 40 wood, 50 gold. Again, it's made from a barracks, the only barracks unit that costs wood. And so in general, is it a broken unit? Is it a fine unit? What's your first feel?
I don't know. It's hard to put the label of broken on it, just because I feel like archers should be able to counter it pretty easily, and the gunshot's quite good. I'm not gonna lie, because it's every 30 seconds, which is reasonable for a range unit. It does a lot of damage. It hits the first unit that it hits, or like that it passes through. So. And it's like quite spread out, so you can't really dodge it easily.
And it's unbreakable. It's unblockable. So it's neither melee nor pierce. It's unblockable.
Rider? Do they dodge that?
I haven't seen that
question.
yet, actually.
Good question.
I'd imagine yes.
I don't know.
I'd imagine yes.
I'd imagine yes too. Yeah.
But yeah, it hits for like pretty good amount of damage, and like you said, it's good against even like war wagons with really high pierce armor. They're still taking a lot of damage from the bullets, right? But there are some limitations. Like, for example, the bullets don't work against siege and they don't work against buildings. So it still feels like the unit is kept in check. I would say it's a good unit that's only broken in the fast castle rushes. That's the only situation where I felt it could be a little overtuned so far. In every other situation, it felt decent, maybe even not that crazy. Like maybe even like it's a whatever unit. So I feel like they kind of hit the mark on a decent balance around the unit.
Okay. Drush FC Fire Lancer back on the menu, Orion? Like in the old days of the Hun Wars?
I will have to play on the new patch to find out. But yeah, like my main concern with units that are like wood and gold is that how easy spammable they can be.
Right.
And you produce this one from a barracks, not like normally it's like a castle unit, right? A ram by a camel archer, but now we can make them from the barracks. But yeah, it sounds like stats-wise they're not that OP, so should be fine.
If you were to nerf them a little bit, Hera, just higher cost potentially? I know it's early to say, but if it needs a nerf.
Again, the only thing that would ever need a nerf of this unit most likely is the fast castle rushes. So the way to nerf that is just to add a food cost instead of something else. What you could do is actually make it the first unit to cost 3 resources. So you can make it cost wood, food, and gold.
Oh,
so you knock 20 gold off it and make it cost 20 food. So it's 40, 20,
Dude,
30.
You complain about new stuff and look at you. Bringing something completely new and unheard of. I like it though. Why not?
They had that in AoE4, like a Chugunu for the Chinese Civ in AoE4 cost 3 resources. It was very weird.
I think it could be interesting. But even that, like I just kind of off the top, like not sure if that would solve the issue, but it could be one solution. But I feel like the only thing that's the only thing I would say about the unit is that it's really good against feudal units. So that's one thing that reinforces it really fits that fast castle all in push setup. So I feel like the stars are aligned way too well for it in that sense. So maybe just hitting some of the numbers or the resource cost to nerf that specific strategy will be needed, but nothing else so far.
Okay, cool. So then, have you tried the Lu Chuan? That's the new ship. Have you tried it?
No, sadly not.
Dude, that feels broken to me. I need to hear. So I believe it's now the most expensive unit in the game. It's 250 wood, 225 gold. It has 2 attacks, so it has like a trebuchet rocket-like thing, not rocket, rock-like thing against siege and buildings, and then it has like a longbow attack with several arrows against normal units. But it has like the range very similar to a cannon galleon. Isn't that like broken as fuck? I mean, what can counter it? In theory, I think the game claims that fire ships can counter it, but since it has like several arrows, I would assume that's not even a counter. Okay, but you haven't tried it. I'm a little bit scared that ship might be a little bit OP, actually.
Is it available only in Imp?
Only in Imp, yeah.
It's not an issue.
Okay.
It's not going to be an issue. That's my take. Like, I think because it's a really expensive unit, it can shoot arrows, but it's only available in Imp, so you can't mass it very fast. So I think Galleons should be able to match it. Unless the numbers are crazy overtuned, but I feel like if you can mass it in Castlage, then it would be a big issue. But if it's only an Imp, it should be fine.
Right,
we'll be strong, but should be like manageable.
Yeah, that's why we have pros here. I haven't thought about that for sure. Okay, so then what did I want to hear, guys? Rocket carts, of course. Right now the unit is bugged. I think I'm showing you guys a clip. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's totally bugged at the moment. You can just keep shooting with it. I think you need to hit like a timing. But once they fix that, first thoughts, Hera, on the unit?
The unit didn't seem that spectacular to me, to be honest. It feels like it's like a Mangonel, very similar, better at certain things, but worse at other things. So for me, it's neither here nor there. I think it's a Mangonel replacement that's a little bit different, but will overall accomplish the same thing as a Mangonel. And I would even say, like, for example, Koreans, the Elite Rocket Cards will probably be worse than the 10 range.
I think it's called Heavy. I think it's called Heavy.
The heavy rocket card. Yeah, that should be worse overall than the 10 range SO, if I had to guess. But it is also easier to get to and cheaper to upgrade. So, yeah, and no crazy feelings on that so far. Fun to use, though.
Fun to use, for sure, yeah. Okay, so do you guys feel, with all these changes, that this is going to be a big shakeup of the meta? Not really. What's your feeling like right now, Orion?
I think certain civilizations with like good infantry boosts will definitely get like a let's say Bulgarians, for example, get 3 meta arms on top of everything, right? I think that those civs, maybe Vikings will be back on the menu, right? You have the handcart economy backed by like extra HP infantry opening. Obviously, it's also very map dependent, but I'm sure we're going to see a lot more flexibility in how people approach openings on probably many different maps. And that also leads to more civs being viable. Like maybe Burmese suddenly gets a comeback as well in terms of like many arms opening into a full wall Arambai play, for example. Yeah, it will shake up the meta a little bit, but I still think like the best civs will remain the best civs regardless at the moment. But I haven't played on the new patch yet, so I don't know.
Okay, Hera, what about you? You feel like a big shakeup of the meta is incoming, or not really?
Yeah, 100%. That's a huge shakeup, actually. So
all right.
It all comes down to infantry being viable. And first thing I want to talk about is like when you look through the civs, right? Before you always had like scout civs are viable, archer civs are viable. Infantry civs can't play infantry at high level, so they have to play archer opening or scout opening. So they're immediately weaker because they're not using their bonuses. Now you look through the civs, no civ feels useless. Bulgarians have a decent opening now. Dravidians, actually, Viper, right up your alley. Dravidians, they feel solid because like, Men at Arms Skirm is probably the most popular strat on this patch. At least like it's the strat that got buffed the most. And now you don't have to make just 3 Men at Arms. You can make multiple. Like I had a few games on stream where I was going like 3 Men at Arm opening, followed up by like 5-6 more Men at Arms. So I have like 8 Men at Arms, breaking houses, getting arson and feudal. It's super cool. Like you really have so many more strategies that you have available to you. And once again, I have to reiterate, the infantry are not broken. I'm doing these strategies, and my opponent might have to make a tower, might have to like house wall a bit. So I'm forcing a reaction, but it's not like he's dying on the spot every time, which feels really balanced. So what I would say is like looking at the civ list, the infantry civilizations, all of them, all now feel fun to play, viable, and in some cases quite strong. Think of Japanese, for example, very very scary men at arms threat now, whereas before 1 archer and you sent them packing. So for me, I really can't stress enough how good this patch has been for the meta. It feels so diverse. Everything feels viable, and we're gonna have a lot of fun on it for sure.
Right. Hey, listen, feels really good to hear someone like you have so many positive things to say about the new patch. Love it. You feel like our men-at-arms towers back on the menu. You feel like, because you feel so. I feel like it's one of the strategies that I miss from the early days. You know, the men-at-arm and tower rush, which became kind of obsolete because towers just go down so fast. So you see it being back on the menu too.
Yeah, absolutely, and there's a reason for that. It's like I actually won a tournament game opening Men-at-Arm Tower a couple of days ago, or show match game, whatever.
Well, Hera, you win. You can go for whatever you want. You still win.
No,
so I don't think that's very representative.
But it was with Bulgarians, no less. But anyway, like fair enough. But normally it's not a strat I would even consider. And the reason why it's so strong now, or not so strong, but the reason why it's back on the menu is because your Men-at-Arms can actually chase down vills easily, and they can run away from archers. So you can tower rush, make the game messy, and then continue to run around the base. You never have the situation where you're getting chased down and you're getting killed. That single interaction with archers chasing them Men-at-Arms before completely destroyed any Men-at-Arms strat. Now that that's gone, you can run away from archers consistently. Men-at-Arms are very much back. And I think a very skilled user with the Men-at-Arm can achieve a lot with them.
Okay. Is Doubt back then? Is Doubt back?
No, because now other players, like before, Doubt was good because he was going Men-at-Arms. And other people are not doing Men-at-Arms. Now, both players are going Men-at-Arms. Doubt's back in the gutter. Okay. He has to fight. It's going to be way too complicated.
Jags, very quick, Hera. Jaguar Warriors. Too strong? Overtuned? Have you tried them?
I played against them. I tried them, and I made a couple videos with them, but I never got to like big Jag numbers. I just got like a few, and then the game ended. I played against them, and there was big numbers of elite Jags. But I was beating them with Bulgarian, Hussar, and Heavy CA.
Of course,
so I don't feel. I know Hussar's still winning. So I honestly don't feel like they're that overtuned because if you look at the numbers, it's like yes, the attack is heavy, but the HP is still 75. So and they're still from a castle. So my take is that they're very strong, but not overpowered at pro level. Could be though overpowered at low level, just because it's hard to maneuver around strong melee units in lower levels. So they will definitely feel very strong. But I would say it makes Aztecs fun to play again and makes them unique and not just like the Mezzo that no one cares about because now we have Incas in mind. So again, I feel like it's a good change.
I think they're now the second hardest hitting unit apart from the Costilier when it comes to melee units, of course. I believe so. And the Costilier does it only once, of course. Okay, folks, moving on to Warlords 4. The first qualifier is set to start on April 21st. 3 of the 4 invited players are Gamer Legion players, leaving Doubt as the only one who needs to go through the qualification process.
He's used to it.
He
lives in the qualifier, don't
worry. There will be 3 qualifiers in total, with 4 players qualifying from each one. And Orion, a large map pool, a new meta developing, 3 chances to qualify, a new Men-at-Arms meta potentially evolving too. Are these the perfect conditions to get our good Doubts to the main event?
Yeah, I would say that the setup is definitely in his favor. But again, for me, that's all what Doubt puts into it, right? If Doubt actually sits down, puts time and effort into training and also preparing and looking at the maps and this and that, he will have good chances, right? Also 3 chances on top of that. So yes, how many players are qualified for Worlds in total? Is it 16?
12. Yeah, 12
so
plus the invited.
Yeah. No, he should. I mean, on paper, Doubt should be among the 16. There's no question about it. So if he doesn't, it's going to be very disappointing for himself and Gamer Legion as well. So yeah,
I hear pressure. I hear some pressure.
He will put more pressure on himself than what we will do, I think. So
fair enough.
No, the setup is good for him on paper. So let's hope.
Hera?
Yeah, if I had to guess, I think he'd qualify. And also, I don't think he'd want to miss out on the new patch tournament. And every time there's something new in the game, Doubt is like he sounds like an absolute casual when he talks about it. He's like, yo, the infantry is moving faster. Like he just sounds he gets so into it. So like it just, I don't know, it feels like it revives his youthfulness when it comes to AMT whenever there's new stuff. So for that reason alone, I think he's gonna qualify. Like, do you remember when mule carts came in? Every game he'd go mule carts and like just he'd be moving them around left and right just because he can. Like he was all over them. So whenever there's new stuff, Doubt is there. He is playing every day. So for me, if I had to guess, I'd say yes, he's going to qualify, and he's going to try his absolute best. Is my prediction there.
The issue with new stuff for Doubt is that whenever he doesn't have access to the new stuff, he gets depressed. So it's like every time you play a Civ that doesn't have a mule card, he's just complaining about no mule card the whole game. So there's multiple factors to this. Yeah.
You know, the good thing about that is that the new Civs will be in the main event, or at least that's the current position from MEMB and the administration or Warlords 4. So you can have 5 opportunities or 5 different Civs, with new toys.
But that's after qualifier then, right? The only main event.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's very true. The qualifiers will quite sure, going to be played on the new patch unless something incredibly buggy, from now until then is known. But how do you guys feel about that? You guys like that the new Civs are going to be included? You guys feel like it might be a little bit too early because the patch is going to be released May 6th? And I believe that's just a couple of days before the main event actually starts. Hera?
I like it. I think just give us enough bans to where you can protect yourself from any broken stuff. If new Civs on release tend to be sometimes broken, so just give us enough bans. And I like having the new Civs open. Like if you want to play them, don't ban them. If you don't want to play them, invest all your bans into them, so you're weak to other stuff, but you don't have to deal with the new Civs. I think that's should make for a very fair and balanced Warlords for main events.
Mm-hmm. Cool. You like that too? Orion, no Civs in the main event, you support it.
I agree with pretty much what Hera said.
Yeah, I think that's the general opinion as well. There are now, all the maps are now known. We have 21 in total. I mean, none of you guys actually have to play the qualifiers, so I don't expect that you guys actually went through the maps and looked at them. Hera, if anyone, it would have been Hera.
Unfortunately, I haven't got around to it.
You did look. Okay, sorry.
I looked at the screenshots when they were posted as
You
winners.
looked at the screenshots already.
Wait, I saw those too. Like I saw the screenshots.
I think the maps look fine. Like nothing stood out to me like, oh, this map is going to be horrible, or oh, I don't like this. So I think there seems like good additions to the tournament.
Do you guys feel like there's one category too much? Water and hybrid feel like too similar to me. Thoughts on that?
I haven't looked at what maps are in each of those. Like I don't remember from the top of my head, but hybrid and water are still very different on paper.
From the screenshot I saw, I kind of noticed this was a little bit too much water as well, because some of the other categories also had water. So it does feel like it's going to be a lot of water, but as long as every water map has some kind of land element, it'll still be fun to play. So it should be fine.
Mm-hmm. You like that there's 21 maps in this tournament, Hera, which I think it's pretty much the tournament with the most maps right now in Age of Empires 2.
I'm a fan. I'm always a fan of more maps and more Civs and more bans, because that creates the most amount of diversity. So like we have 50 Civs, let's start seeing them. We have like so many maps, let's start seeing them. When you have a tournament with just 10 maps and like 2 Civ bans, you see the same map, same Civ every time. And I basically have to practice one time and then we're good for the whole tournament, which feels wrong.
Orion, thoughts? A lot of maps in the tournament.
We have so many good maps in Age of Empires that, I mean, whenever we talk about this, it always makes me sad that the ranked ladder is so stale. Just the same boring maps all over. Like I am favoriting Arabia every time I play, and that's a bad sign. But yeah, I like that there's 21 maps. Obviously, it requires a little bit of extra prep work. You have to look into more maps, think about more things. Also makes the drafting more important, because you also might want to take certain pools away from the opponents. I think it's a very cool system, and I'm a big fan of it. And yeah, 21 maps. I wouldn't go more than 21 though. I think that's
the upper limit. Okay, yeah. The upper limit. Okay, it's been 21 maps every time, so I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Moving on, we still have, or rather before Warlords 4 actually, we still have the final weekend of the Masters of Rage Forest to look forward to. The semifinals are scheduled for April 19th, with the final happening just one day later. And Orion, do we have an update on the scheduling? How are things looking like? Apparently there's a little bit of a difficulty getting...
We're having issues right now. Let's hope it works out. I don't know yet what's going to happen.
Okay, I have nothing to report. Okay, so you guys will be fighting against the Pendejos. Well, Hera, you can speak Spanish right now. So is it Pendejos? Can you teach me the pronunciation, the right pronunciation?
Pendejos, I guess.
Pendejos. Wow, well, sounds fine to me.
All I can say is ACCM is an absolute demon on Black Forest. This guy's insane. Every time I watch ACCM play, he's carrying the game so hard. Like, this guy is crazy. The rest of the team's obviously good. Like they got Slam, Somero, and who else?
Andy, I think, right?
Andy, freaking Andy. But ACCM for me is the standout guy. That guy's crazy at Black Forest.
Isn't Slam on the team too? Or did you say Slam?
Slam, yeah, it says Slam. Okay. Slam,
Mm-hmm.
Somero, Andy. But ACCM, man, that guy's, every time I tune in, he's top score by far, carrying everything. Like that guy's a fiend.
It's been a lot of fun hearing you guys play the game. Well, are you guys going to stream? I mean, assuming that the game actually takes place, are you guys going to be streaming your point of views as always? Or is it like a rule that you can't?
Do you think Hera will play this tournament without being allowed to stream? Come on.
Well,
no, I'll take that stream. I think it's so much more fun to stream when you play it like Rage Force. So I think all of us will stream. Well, Tato might not on his laptop. but yeah, I don't see any reason we would not stream.
Okay, cool. I'm going to be watching one of you guys for sure. Yeah, so confident you guys going to take the Pendejos. How are you feeling about it?
I'm not confident. ACCM is a beast.
Wow.
I think Rage Force is so much about the first 10 minutes of the game. The flanks have to get their position set up, the pockets have to help, and then you have to adjust your strategies accordingly to how the map spawns as well, where the pawns are. I think the level in Rage Force is also really high. Like there's so many players that can execute a really good Rage Force game. So I don't think we're like as clear favorites as we would have been like on Arabia, for example, or any other type of map. But I think Rage Force is super fun, and I think if whoever we face, we're gonna have good chances, right? But like I wouldn't say us against Amigos or the Pendejos. We are like clear favorites. I wouldn't say so.
Let me break it down. First of all, ACCM. Okay, if we get to the finals against the favorite Amigos, the less lakes there are, the better we are. Like 4 lakes, they will win 100% of the time. But if there's 0 lakes, I've been seeing how they're playing. I'm not impressed. 0 lakes, Amigos, not impressive at all. Not impressed. I beat them with a ragtag team of me, Hart, Leary, and I don't even know who the 4th guy is. Never seen him before.
Ragtag team? You, Hart, Leary?
Yeah, but it's like Leary's, but no lakes. Like we went like 0-3 on lakes, Black Forest. Then we got no lakes, and we absolutely stomped them. So I'm just setting the stage right now for potential finals between us and Amigos. The less lakes, the better it is for us. 0 lakes, it's going to be hard for them.
You guys are playing. Hera is always on the pocket side, right? Doubt is always flank. Do I have that right? Or does it keep changing?
Yes. No, well, mostly it changes. Like Viper can flex, Tado can flex. Doubt insists on the flank. He's good. And I take the easiest role. Like full transparency, they give me like make farms, and make paladin. Like that's my role. It's very easy. So
I love it. Okay, so you guys are flexible in your positions. Okay.
I think though we have like Doubt is a B. Like for some reason, Doubt's general micro is so. It's like it's better than people give him credit for. Let's be real.
But Vil micro?
But Villager micro, that he wins every Vil fight. I have no idea how he does it.
For some reason, it makes no sense. By the way, that makes no sense.
Except the only thing he struggles with is when people put gates behind his walls, like the gate trick. Then he's like he just loses it. Like,
that's allowed. Actually, I thought they thought about banning it. Okay, but it probably would be very hard to enforce.
He has complained about it many times already, so I'm pretty sure it's allowed.
Every time that happens, I hear this is not Age of Empires. Yeah. This should not be allowed.
Classic. Hera, I think despite everything, you're still the one with the least experience in Rage 4. So are you enjoying it so far? You know,
I think it's so fun. Like I think it's so fun, but I have a bit imposter syndrome because I feel like when a casual comes onto the stream, like, oh man, Viper, Hera in the same team, this is like unbeatable. But I'm just like not that good in Rage Force. Like I'm actually really bad in a lot of like scenarios, and a lot of times I don't know what to do. So in a team game, in a pro team game, you're not supposed to ask someone else what you're supposed to do. But I find myself asking a lot. Luckily, Viper is very experienced. So he's usually the guy like, do that. And
did you say you're not supposed to ask? Was that what you said? Yeah,
like you're supposed to know what you're supposed to do. Like, because if you ask someone else, they have to like look over. They don't know your exact scenario, and it's hard for them to tell you to say exactly what you're supposed to do.
Interesting.
But in that scenario in Rage Forest, I feel like I have to ask a lot of the times, and I don't know.
I think Hera is not giving himself enough credit here, but yeah, obviously. Me, Tato, Doubt have more experience in Rage Force. We've been playing it for a long time already, right? But as long as Hera knows his role, he's obviously knowing what to do. And it's not only Hera. Like me, Tato, Doubt will also always discuss in Dark Age, like, okay, what are we doing here? It's always a back and forth bounce of information, and then we eventually settle on something or have to adjust according to what the enemy is doing, right? Mm-hmm. So I think Hera's exaggerating a little bit here with how clueless he is, but. No, but I think communication is so important, and even in pro games, people should always ask their teammates if they're not sure, which is a good thing. Like Doubt, for example, he will never ask for resources because he's so proud. If he's like on 20 food and I have 10,000 in the bank, he's not going to ask. I have to like, Doubt, can I give you 5,000 food? And he's like, Maybe. Okay. That's literally how it is. But that's also a problem I think a lot of people have in general. Like
I've noticed. I agree 1000%, Orion. I've seen I'm 2v1, but I'm fine. And then 5 minutes later, guys, I think I'm kind of dead. I've
that's
noticed
more
this so many
overconfidence.
times.
But like asking for resources when you need resources is something everyone should be fine doing, right? That's because a lot of times people are floating if you're like from a pocket position, for example. I myself am also bad. I don't realize, I have 3,000 wood, 4,000 food. And I don't ask my teammates either, hey guys, I have extra food, do you need it, right? Those are such easy words that should be used more often, I think.
Yeah.
And Doubt is too proud.
The case of Doubt is so funny. Like he would literally struggle, and then only when you offer, he'll barely accept it. It's hilarious. Yeah. I will say, like in my personal case, I feel like if it gets to late game, then I know what to do. Like I'm figuring it out. But the first 30 minutes, in my opinion, are super difficult because if you make the wrong call, like the enemy pocket can come in super fish boomed, and he can literally roll you and the flank, like the flank and the pocket, if he comes in the right place, right time. That's what's really hard about Rage Force. Once you stabilize that like rush timing, I feel like the game becomes a lot easier. Then I feel like there's no difference between me and anyone else in late game because I know what to do. Like I know the trade, like the army and whatnot. But the first 30 minutes, that's where I'm really not sure what to do, really worried about that rush timing, and I think things can go very wrong. But that's the beauty of Rage Forest. I think it's super fun to play, to be fair.
Dude, you're giving a lot of hints to the opponents, just saying.
They know all this. I know because they know.
But if you have like MBL on the other team, he likes a triple villager sneak, like one vill to each corner. It's like you never know what to expect in Rage Forest as well. And that's also the beautiful part.
That's awesome. I love it. Okay, guys, to finish things off, very quick. Feels like devs are dabbling into including 9 villager starts in the map pool. They tried to do it, but then there was a bug and now they've removed it, but it's quite obvious. They wanted to start with Arena, I believe. And I saw a lot of criticism from the Arena community that they don't like the 9 villager starts on the map pool. Quick thoughts from both of you guys. Orion first.
Wait, how exactly were they trying to implement it? I haven't seen this.
It was, one of those dev picks for the next map pool. Devs have a pick. And so one of the picks was Arabia with 9 villager starts. Then they realized
the map just had like a 9 on it, or like was it, or did you have a different tab where you had to choose it, or how did that work?
It's like when you go and vote for the map for the next map pool, you can see there's like I think are 4 dev picks, right? You have like 4 dev picks or 3 dev picks, and one of those was an arena with 9 villager starts. Yeah. They removed it now because there was a bug that I don't know. I haven't followed it too much. Now they've removed, but again, it seems clear to me that this is something that's on their mind.
I mean, I would love them to introduce 9 villager start to ranked map pool, but it should not be the standard. It should always be 3 villager start, and then I think they should just add like a toggle where you can tick, I'm fine playing 9 villager start, and if the opponent has the same, then you play 9 villager start.
Right. Okay.
Have like the Empire Wars tab, for example, be 9 villagers. I don't think they should mess around with having the 3 villager Arabia and 9 villager Arabia next to each other in the regular
I think that's
queue.
the most popular take. Yeah, just take the the Empire Wars ladder, which nobody's using anyway. Hera, thoughts?
No, I actually like Viper's take of the make it a check mark, like how the Civs are, like you can block Civ or not. If both players block 9 vil start, then it make it a 9 vil start game. I would literally rather see nothing 9 vil start related if they're not taking Viper's idea. So it's either Viper's idea or nothing, in my opinion.
Wow.
Because making it like 3 vil Arabia and 9 vil Arabia in the same apple is absolutely horrible. Like that does I cannot get on board with that. Even like 9 vil Arena can't get on board with that. Like I do a lot of coaching, and 3 vil Arena is pretty hard up until like 1400 elo even. No reason to overcomplicate it. 9 vil start only matters for pro players playing tournaments and some 1700s plus who want to speed up the game a little. It's not going to be relevant to like literally 90% of the player base. At least that's my take, my feeling at least. So I just think that either make it a toggle that's not going to bother people, or just keep it out of the game and just keep it in tournaments only. I don't think it's bad to have a 9 vil start tournament mode. Like the people who just accept that this is the same game, it's just 9 vil start to make it harder for tournaments. And it's not going to be played on the ranked ladder. It's not for the average player. It's only for pros in tournaments to speed things up, make it a bit more fast-paced. That's it. I don't think there's a problem with that.
Cool. Boys, this was fun, man. Had a lot of fun. Thank you, Harry, for coming to the town center. Lovely having you, hearing your insights, all of that.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the invite, and I had a ton of fun as well.
All right, guys, if you enjoyed the podcast, you know what you have to do. Comment, like, subscribe, all of those things. I think I forgot to say at the beginning, but if you want to listen to us on Spotify, we're available on Spotify. And if you do so, don't forget to rate us 5 stars. We'll be back in roughly 2 weeks.
I heard that at the start.
I did say
you
it. All
definitely
right,
said
well,
that.
well
Yeah.
there you go. There you
Don't
go.
edit this out though. I like this.
He was too busy thinking about the Warcraft 3 joke. That's why he was not.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
That's so true. I want to make it. I
Let's
wanted
make
to
sure
make it count. I wanted to make it count. See you guys. Thanks for coming. Bye bye.